Hello, and welcome to the next video in the Create Better Content series, where I'm going to show you how to tap into your creativity so that you never run out of content ideas again. I'm Penny, and I'm going to be your guide through this creative content development process. I'm going to be teaching you how to stop going down that research rabbit hole and start taking action to actually reach more customers online. So for today's video, I want to get into the steps to brainstorm your content ideas and give you some tips on how to stay consistent with your content strategy plan. And we're starting now. So in the last two videos, I got into the science of how the creative process can get kind of messy. If you haven't heard those yet, I highly recommend that you stop this video right now and go back and hear the other two. I'm actually going to add the links to in the notes below this video so you can find them very quickly. So as I shared with you in these last videos, this creative process messiness that I'm talking about, this is something that you're going to experience. It takes the form of solving a problem in a new way, using an innovative idea to promote your product or maybe a new service that your business is offering, or the simple act of doing something completely different when you're responding to some sort of outside shift within your personal life and how it's directly affecting your business. So today what I want to do is I want to translate all that sciencey stuff that I talked about in those other two videos, and I want to tell you how you can use that information to take these real steps to implement right after you finish this video. Real steps that's going to help you develop your content strategy for this year. So let's get into this stuff. So the main foundation, all this stuff that I'm talking about, how I'm always saying tapping into your creativity, is for you to start thinking about how you're going to increase the amount of time that you spend every week living in what I refer to as your creative energy. So I want you to stay with me to the end of this as I go through the tips and I go through all of the steps. At the very end of this, I am going to give you a great idea about what you can do to stay consistent with your creativity. Alrighty then. So, what's the one big thing that you can do to stay consistent? Well, one of the big things. There's lots of big things, and we're going to get into those in later videos. But what's one of the big things that you can do to stay consistent? Is when you're thinking about your content ideas, whether it's for the week, for the month, for the quarter, or whatever it is that you're working on, don't just make a brain dump list. I want you to think about how you can turn it into an idea file. So a brain dump list is just you taking everything out of your head and just writing it out on a piece of paper or putting it into an Evernote file or a Google Doc or whatever it is. And then you make this whole big list and then it just kind of sits there. And you're not really sure what to do with it. And every now and then you go back to the list and you're like, oh, that's a really great idea. Let me see if I could write a blog post on that. Or I kind of like that one right there. Maybe I could do a whole Instagram video series on it or something like that. But here's what I want you to think about this. Instead of just doing this list, I want you to turn this into an idea file. Because your content ideas are the foundation about how you're going to develop your marketing strategy. And they're not going to do you any good if they're just stuck in your head or on some Google Doc someplace that's stuck in your laptop that you're never going to look at. So that's why these steps that I'm sharing today aren't just about increasing your creativity, but it's also going to help you stay organized, and it's going to give you the steps to take action. And so that's one of the best things about this type of, tapping into your creativity to never run out of content ideas again. This whole process that I'm talking about, it's not just about coming up with these ideas. It's about taking action. So for the success of your content creation, to have this idea file system, something that you can easily access to allow you to implement all of your inspiration. So how does this idea file stuff work? How does this whole thing, what actually goes into it, I guess is the question you guys are probably thinking right now. All right. So when we think about the idea file, let's start with the first piece of it. I'm about to say the thing that I just told you not to do, but this is just the first part of it. You start making a list. Making a list for your content marketing, and this list could include blog post topics, social media image ideas. What's the point? What's the purpose of that video that you want to record? So it's not just taking a brain dump. Sorry about that. You can hear my dog in the background. Sometimes these things happen in real life. Cooper's having a noise in the background. Apologize for that. Going back to the idea file. Welcome to my life, everybody. Going back to the idea file. Okay, so it's a list. But a brain dump is just get this out of my head, get this out of my head, get this out of my head, get this out of my head. But the idea file is thinking about the ideas with respect to the marketing itself. So, like I said, maybe the thing that you want to talk about is productivity. So maybe it's productivity for small business owners. So then the idea file becomes productivity. And then the list then becomes, I could write a blog post about the top 5 things you could do for productivity. I've got these great ideas for social media image ideas. I found this really, really cool image of clocks sitting right next to a laptop. So I can put that there in the idea file. I can do a video about this. What's the purpose of my video? Is it just to give them the steps? Or is it to teach them how to implement this? Is it to show them how to be successful? Is it to give them types of resources and programs and things that they can use? So do you see the difference between just doing a brain dump and creating an idea file? So the thing about the idea file is I also want you to consider adding in your crazy big ideas. The ones that you're thinking, oh, I could do this great big, 6-month program and it'll do this and it'll do this and it'll do this. Write it all down. Write every bit of it down. Keep it together in each one of these idea files. We're going to have each one for each type of topic, theme, whichever, idea that you want to refer to it as. Put it all in there. Because here's the thing about these crazy ideas. You just never know when there's a tiny little piece of that idea that, jumps out at you and you go, maybe I can't do the 6-month membership program or a 6-month mastermind group. But maybe what I could do is I do like the idea of what I was going to do to pre-promote it, to do these workshops every single month. Or maybe I really like the idea of, I was going to sell something and have a special offer of it. Maybe what I could do is I could do a free, idea to test it out and to see if that's the opportunity for me to get some feedback from people. So put down not just the things that you're going to do, like I know I'm going to write that blog post, I know I'm going to record that video, I'm definitely doing my social media, so here's my image ideas, but write down all your crazy ideas. Put it all down together. Include taglines, promo copies, how you're going to connect it with your website. I mean, all of that stuff. Because it's the way I always say, as I tell all my clients, and as we say in the Create Your Business program, there's no right way, there's no wrong way to write up your lists. It's just your way. And I want you to make sure that there is no, and that's one of the reasons that there's no template for me to sit here and to tell you to download. Because there's no right way, there's no wrong way to write up these lists and to do your idea files. It's just your way. And I want you to do it your way, because what the main purpose of this is it obviously it's going to help you stay more organized, but it's going to take all of that stuff that's swirling around in your head and it's going to create it into a more structured form and a more structured way for you to stay organized. So the next thing that you're going to do is, obviously with your lists, I want you to make sure that you're choosing a good note-taking program that works both on your computer and it's an app on your phone. This way, No matter where you're working, no matter where you are, you can always add in notes that can be accessed on your laptop, or you can pull them up on your phone. And there are tons of programs out there. Tons of programs out there. I personally use Evernote for my content idea files. I mean, I love that I can be, going for a walk and get an idea, and I can pull up the app and then type it in on my phone. And then later, when I'm working on that blog post or I'm working on my next video, I can pull up my Evernote on my computer and I can go straight to those notes that I had written. There are programs like Trello, if you're a visual person, Monday.com, Asana, all of those organization, project management programs that are out there all have the ability for you to create these idea files within them. It's not like you're going to get like something, just that's an idea file. It's going to connect to everything else that you're doing. So we want to make sure that you are taking you're using a note-taking program that allows you to access it both on your laptop and on your phone. Because the idea is this: capturing and reviewing your ideas frequently. And frequently, I mean, basically when I had talked at the very beginning of this, what I mean by frequently is not that you just did a brain dump on January 1st and then you didn't open up that Google Doc again until, March 31st. So you want to check it frequently. If it's not daily, it's definitely several times during your week. And this is one of the best ways that you're going to boost your creativity with your content creation. And to make sure that your idea file becomes an integral part, why can't I say that word? Integral. Okay. It's a very important part of your ongoing content strategy. You just want to make sure that you do more than just typing out your brainstorm ideas, because sometimes that's all we end up doing, right? So let me give you some steps here. So you've got this content program that your note-taking program you're going to use. You know what you're going to be doing. You're going to be creating your idea file. I want to go back to what I had talked about in these last two videos about the creative problem-solving skills. This is that place that's going to take that list into implementation and into action, right? By using your creative problem-solving skills. This is the stuff that you'll do every week. These are the things that you're going to develop your framework to uncover all these new innovative ideas. And when you start working through this process, it's going to lead you to these answers that your potential customers are seeking and help them realize that your product, your program, your service, your business is the solution to what it is that they're looking for. Okay, so one of the first things that we're going to do is, remember I asked you, but if you don't remember, I'm going to remind you again. Look at the items in your idea file and ask yourself open-ended questions about them. And when I'm referring to open-ended questions, are questions that require more than a yes or no. Closed-ended questions are the ones that land with a yes or no. And the thing about those types of questions is you end up with just like a limited amount of options. But what you really want to do is ask open-ended questions, because those are the ones that are going to challenge your assumptions about what you believe initially. So when I talk about open-ended questions, I'm referring to things like asking questions like, why? Why would they want this? What if? How could I? Where else? And see where that path takes you by asking these. So taking a look at your idea file, asking yourself these open-ended questions are going to help you look and see, what else is out there? How could I do this? How could I write a blog post about time saving and productivity that's different than the other people that are out there? What if I actually did a live demonstration on one of my video recording programs about how I save time every single day? Do you see how that open-ended question led to an innovative idea about what I could be doing with my content? So that's the first thing that you're going to do. The second thing that you're going to do, as you review your idea file, I want you to suspend your judgment about your ideas. Remember, I'd asked you to put down the crazy ideas, the things you may not think that you could do. You don't have the time, you don't have the money, you don't know how to do this. When it comes to this creative problem solving process, making these quick judgments about an idea like, oh, that's not me, I don't do that thing, I don't do videos, I don't like to show up on camera, I don't like to do this. When you start to judge things like that, you completely shut down before you've had time to truly flesh something out. Most of the times, and this is the truth, this is the science behind this, most of the times these initial ideas come to you in raw form, and they need time to grow and develop, and they could possibly turn into one of the best promotional ideas to promote your business that you get excited to get behind. So don't allow your fears or anxieties with your initial ideas and your idea file to turn it into, you judging it and you're saying, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be that. That's not me. I can't do something like that. Instead of, when you find yourself going down that path, instead ask yourself, why did this idea even come into my head in the first place? Is there a piece of this idea that I can turn into an opportunity for my content strategy? So I want you to catch yourself when you immediately look for ways to find fault with your idea. Because, seriously, what would happen if you just tried out one piece of the idea, one step, or spent 15 minutes testing out, something like an app on your phone? So suspend your judgment. Remind yourself that this thought came to you for a reason. What's the message this thought is trying to send you about what you should be doing with your content strategy? Okay. And the third thing that I'm going to ask you to do, the third part of this creative problem solving skill set that you are developing, is as you're catching yourself to not judge the crazy big ideas, one of the best ways that you can turn around your internal conversation is by using the words yes and instead of but. It's an improv technique, and it works like this. So no matter what comes up in this internal conversation, or maybe a conversation that you're having with your accountability friend, your mastermind group, or anybody else that you speak with about your marketing plans, respond with the words yes and instead of starting your response with the word but. Because no matter what you're feeling inside about your idea, if your job is to keep saying yes and, it's going to allow yourself to continue to explore all the opportunities and to uncover your answers. And let me give you an example about that. Let me go back to this example that I've been using about, so if my idea file is about productivity, I could say, well, there's a ton of people out there who are productivity specialists, and I'm not a productivity specialist. And I could immediately go to, but nobody's going to listen to me. See how I shut that thing down immediately? But what if I said, there's a ton of productivity stuff going on out there, blog posts, videos, and what am I going to contribute to this conversation? Yes, and I have a different way of looking at it because I use a couple of programs and I have discovered a new way to do this differently. So let me do this again. What if I said, so I just saw the number one productivity person on Instagram talking about this in her story. And I could say myself, but I'm not her, and I don't have all those followers, and I don't have all those people, paying attention to me like they do her. What difference is this going to make? All right, let's start that again. So what if I said, so I just saw the productivity specialist doing her Instagram story special series on productivity. Yes, and I could actually comment on her series, or I could even create my own series bringing her ideas up and expanding upon them, saying, this productivity specialist talked about this, this, and this, and I think it's a great idea. Let me share with you how I do what she's doing and how I could add more to this conversation. So think about those two words in your internal conversation. That's going to be one of the best things that you can do to help you to suspend your judgment about these big ideas. Always try to use the words yes and instead of but. Okay. And the last piece of this process that I told you that I was going to share with you at the very beginning of the video, and it is the most important. It is one of it was so important that I ended up doing like a whole video specifically about this. And again, check the show notes below, and you will see the link to that video. The last piece of this process, and the most important, is to make sure that you spend time in your creative energy every single week. Remember that expanding your time being creative is not about being an artist. I am not asking you to write the next great novel. I am not asking you to be, Picasso or anything like that. There's already been Picasso. You're never going to be Picasso. That is not what I'm asking you to do. What I'm asking you to do is to find time in your day to feel happy being in your creative energy. And I highly encourage you to come into your creative activity with a question in mind. This is one of the things that I tell my clients. If there's something you're struggling with or had to expand on something in your idea file and you don't know where to go with it, being in this creative space will open up that right side of your brain. The right side that I'm always talking about, the one that's going to be, letting you get new opportunities to flow in. And it becomes more than just a brainstorming, brain dump list, which is actually working more from the prefrontal cortex, which is the decision-making process. What we want to do is we want to focus on, when we do a creative activity, we actually are finding ourselves using all of the parts of our brain. So the left side is, trying to do that problem solving. But what happens when the right side gets opened up, it goes, okay, I like that problem that you're talking about, but here's an idea about this, and here's an idea about this, and here's an idea about this. So you want to make sure that when you're struggling with the idea of being creative, it's that thing I keep saying, just do something. Just do something creative. And I promise you, within minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes, the ideas are going to be flowing like you would not believe. So for those of you who are freaking out thinking that I'm asking you to pick up a paintbrush or to write the next great novel, let me share with you one of the easiest ways for you to spend time in your creative energy. Something that's not going to cost you any money, and it's just something that you just need to make some time to do in your day. Okay, here's what it is. I want you to watch the sunrise or the sunset during the day, at the end of the day or the beginning of the day. Or heck, you can even do both if you're up that early. Because we all know that taking photos of sunrises and sunsets make for some amazing Instagrammable posts. But most of us only share these kinds of photos when we're on vacation. Most of us only do this kind of stuff when we're on vacation. And I want to remind you that you don't need to travel someplace to take advantage of those moments of wonder. The sun rises and sets every single day. Sunday through Monday, I guarantee you, the sun will come up and the sun will always go down. You do not have to go someplace far from home to enjoy these breathtaking colors that happen in the sky every morning and every night. So other than taking a few minutes to enjoy the beauty of the day, watching the sunrise and sunset actually brings you some health benefits, like #good vibes. Research shows us that stepping outside your home, even for 15 minutes in that morning time or that afternoon time, has psychological benefits that's proven to relieve stress. So I want you to think about how you could take a few minutes at the end of your day or the beginning of your day, if you want to watch a sunrise, to experience watching these colors shift during the sunset. I can promise you it will be worth it for you to spend that 15 minutes outside. You're going to be breathing in the fresh air. It's like fuel for your body, helping you feel refreshed and centered. And here's another really cool thing about this. Watching the sunrise or even the sunset stimulates this thing called the pineal gland. And the direct sunlight targets your eye and gets directly into your brain. And this action gives you an extra boost of melatonin and serotonin, which are feel-good hormones. So there's like all of this psychological and health reasons for this. But the main reason that I'm asking you to do this is to spend some time in that creative energy. Think about this. I mean, sunrises and sunsets are the source of inspiration for writers and songs and painters. So when you spend some time watching the sunrise or the sunset today, I want you to take a deep breath and feel that creative energy enter your body. I mean, they don't call it the magic hour for nothing. So when you're feeling stuck and not sure what to do, go do something creative. Doing something creative is really keeping you in motion. And any form of motion beats sitting there forcing yourself to come up with an answer. And I can assure you, and I promise you this, and I know this for a fact. I know this from a fact from my clients. I know this from me. I know this from all the research that I've done. Any inspiration, and inspiration will be drawn to you when you take action. So when you find yourself getting stuck on what to post and what you need to write for your next sales page copy, do something creative. Go watch the sunrise. Go watch the sunset. Doing something other than just sitting there in front of your laptop is not going to help you. And trust that when you engage with your creative energy, your inspiration will find its way to you. So thank you so much for joining me today on this creative journey. If you've enjoyed this content about creativity, I hope you'll consider subscribing to this channel. You are magnificent, my friend. And let me be the first to say, I'm proud of you. Until next time.